Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Leila and Pat. We're so happy you guys are here. We have a fun show today. We have Rebecca Parson, who is a candidate in Washington State, a progressive candidate. I can't wait to talk to her and force her to give me some hope for her future. But before that, Pat, how you doing? How was your weekend?
Great. No complaints. Yeah, that's all I got. So,
What?
I
That's
mean,
all I got. What was the highlight of your weekend? I know Sunday you had a highlight.
not complaining pretty much sums it. Oh, wait, we were on the holy crap. We were on a show together. Vanguard, some of my favorite guys on the internet.
The audience needs to know. We set all this up like 10 minutes ago.
True.
What's happening?
Yeah. So we were on Vanguard Pod. I love those guys.
So much fun with those guys. Yeah.
It was great. They're going to be on in next week, actually, which is
they're coming on our show next Wednesday. We can't wait. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had to get out of bed early for a 12 o'clock live show on Sunday. Now that my kids are older, I can sleep in, but I made it and it was fun. They were great.
Yeah, love those guys.
Yeah.
So cheers to them for having us on. But we want to start every show from now on with a cheers to something good. So this one is close to Lila's heart.
My alma mater. Let's see it. What's happening over at Columbia University? Let's see.
Strike.
Right. If they Columbia, there's Daniel NY1. You know, there's a big rivalry between Columbia College, the women at Columbia College and the women of Barnard. I was Columbia College, but we're all one unity. One of the largest strikes with student workers who are striking to get paid. If they don't pay us, shut it down. Here, cheers.
Right.
Solidarity.
I think solidarity. I think, was it the second largest in the nation right now?
Something I think that's what I read, but I'm scared if I don't have the numbers in front of me. It said 3,000, and yet I feel like there are other strikes that are larger, so I don't want to say that and be wrong because we are not fake news.
I know the potential Kaiser strike is at like almost 40,000 people, and you've got all this solidarity back and forth now with SIU.
That's right.
You know, so that's what we need. We need striking groups to support other striking groups, and we all need to start supporting these guys because electoral politics. We'll talk to Rebecca about that, but it's going to be a little.
Let's cheers to a good show. Let's bring on Rebecca and let's hear about her plans and our hope for the future.
Here is Rebecca. Welcome, Rebecca.
Hello, welcome.
Hi, how are you two? Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much for coming on. So we've been following you for a while now on the Twitter sphere, and I'm always so impressed and inspired by your honesty when it comes to the lies that are coming out of the Democratic Party. I don't know if you're on the spot, but so why don't you tell us something about yourself, why you're running, your background, and all that good stuff, please.
Yeah, so Rebecca Parson, running in Washington's 6th Congressional District. I ran in 2020 and got 35,000 votes, and now I'm here to take what I learned and finish the job and win for 2022. I'm a housing rights activist since the last election. Over the winter, I co-founded a group called Tacoma Housing Now, which occupied empty buildings to get more housing for homeless people in our community. First, we occupied a middle school that had been empty for 11 years, and then we moved people into a hotel. And we were able to get a lot of attention drawn to it, put a lot of pressure on the city, and our actions resulted in 200 shelter beds being added in Tacoma. And a shelter that was only open in cold weather was made 24/7, and they extended it by 3 months. So really proud of those actions because every winter here, people die of exposure. It's not as, people think, oh, well, the West Coast, that's why there's so many homeless people there, because the weather's better. But trust me, when it's cold and rainy, people do die of exposure. So it's really important that people get off the streets. Housing is a huge issue for me. And so I'm proud of that direct action. And I also, like a lot of people since 2020 have been reevaluating electoral politics. And I think that for me, I have to do it in combination with direct action for it to have the biggest impact. And that's what, if I win, what I plan on doing.
I love that. I think that's something that has really depressed the left, when we see people who got their start that way forget their activist roots. What do you think that is, or how do you keep that going once you're in the halls of Congress?
I think having people who are keeping the people with me who are with me now and will remind me if I ever slip or I start to, just remind me of why we're doing this, why we got into this. It's something that's not talked about a lot is like the team that you have behind you makes a big impact on what you do, whether it's running a campaign or also in Congress. So you want to make sure you have people, on your team helping you or really have the same vision in mind. So that would be important. And then also maintaining a connection to the movements outside of Congress. So the activist movements that helped you get elected, for example, staying in touch with those. And then being willing to use the platform of being an elected official to call people to direct action, put it out on social media, your email list, we're going to do this X direct action, come join us, that kind of thing.
That's awesome. And who are you? I saw a reference to the Chevron Democrat that you are running against. Can you tell me something about him?
Yeah, his name is Derek Kilmer. GovTrack ranks him as the 13th most conservative Democrat in the House, even though our district has been Democratic for 56 years. He voted for Trump's favorite policies, for example, to give DHS more funding when it was literally snatching protesters off the streets, putting them in armored vans and taking them, essentially to black sites during the protests last year. He voted to give them more money during that, voted to fund Trump's border wall, more money for ICE. So on and on like that, while still giving lip service to saying the right things. But then, when you actually look at their actions, what is he actually voting for? Who is he actually taking money from? He's also, rising up the ranks in the Democratic Party. In 2020, he was chair of the New Democrat Coalition, which is a large kind of conservative / centrist pro-business caucus. It's like the heir of the, Clintonian politics in Congress. And so he's really working his way up the ranks, he's been in one office or another for almost his entire adult life. So and he's also come out publicly and said that he does not support Medicare for all or the Green New Deal, which is not surprising. He takes money from Chevron, Marathon Petroleum, so he's very much, out of step with what we need as a country, what we need in this district in particular, and also what the district wants. In 2016, this district went for Bernie. In 2020, when Bernie was in a close second. So there's definitely support here for these policies. We just don't have somebody representing us who supports them.
I just want to ask, do you feel like the fact that he doesn't support Medicare for all and so many progressive policies is why he's sort of a rising star in the Democratic Party?
That's probably part of it. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to let people get very far who threaten, their donor base. So absolutely, yeah.
So when you were running, you were trying to primary him, is that right? And
yeah.
What was the response? Like, what was your support system like, or was there any support from you from the Democratic Party, or how did they deal with you?
Well, like a lot of organizations, it's different between the leadership and the membership, the rank and file. So I have friends who are members of the party and they're, PCOs, or they're in the leadership of their local county party or their legislative district party, that kind of thing, who supported me and are progressive. And there are parts of the district where there are a lot of progressives in the party, but the party, as you know, the leadership kind of institutional structure was not supportive at all. They actually, in Washington state, we have it's called a jungle primary or a top two primary, like California, where all the candidates run against each other, and whoever the top two vote getters are the ones who go through to the general. And I wanted to have van access, which is a tool that's used to get the voter file and do canvassing. It's really important to have for field. And there's not a lot of competition for it. It's the best out there, and the other stuff available is much, much more expensive. So they blocked me from using that, even though I was running as a Democrat. I was a Democratic Party PCO. They wouldn't let me use it. So I was able to, get an agreement where it was like, okay, I can go straight to the company that makes it and get, the same tool with different data, but pay $7,000 to get it. So yeah, they definitely,
and is there something like in the bylaws that would prevent that? I mean, is that legal?
Yeah, how do they justify it? I'm curious what their justification is.
Well, their rationale, they had put together a flow chart that was like, is the candidate Democrat? Yes, no. Are they this or that? Yes, no, and branching off. And then the criteria they said was that you have to get the endorsement of 50% plus one of the legislative district parties in your congressional district to vote for you. The problem is that, or to endorse you, but the problem is that those legislative district parties don't do that until maybe 2 months before the election.
Right.
So my election's in August. I can't just wait till June to start canvassing,
Right. Well, and then obviously they're only going to pick, it's 50% plus one, which means only one person's going to be given that access, which is going to be the incumbent Democrat or whoever they prefer, right?
I think they want to avoid having two people. Yeah, I guess only one person would get it because the other person would have 49%, right? Or
yeah. That seems rigged. That doesn't seem
a little unfair.
Yeah. So we've seen, some insurgent candidates who got national attention just recently, and there was a lot of dark money and collaboration between corporatist Democrats and Republicans. Does your Chevron Democrat have some big Republican support as well, or what's his deal?
Well, he used to be a member of the Problem Solvers Caucus, which is half. They call themselves the Problem Solvers. They're bipartisan, half Republicans, half Democrats, and say that they're just looking for solutions to the problems. But of course, the solutions are always, Republican. Yeah, DNC, somebody in the comments, we're a private corporation with no obligation to follow our rules. Yeah. The state party, Washington State Party, has a single payer healthcare in their platform saying they support it. So why not support me over the person who opposes it? But in any case, consistency is not a requirement.
Same in California. Yeah, in California, it's in their platform as well. And we had enough support to get it passed even, but that's why they wouldn't bring it to a vote.
Yeah. And so the Problem Solvers Caucus is funded by, so the group that's behind it is called No Labels. They're funded by, among other people, Republican billionaires. So he's not on the roster of that caucus anymore. I guess that means he quit it, but I'm sure he maintained the connections, to those funders, to those donors. He's one of the top fundraisers in the entire state of Washington among, federal officials. So yeah, I don't really know what would happen if it would become, like it did in Ohio with that special election, but it is possible.
Yeah. So right now, what are you gearing up for? When is the next election for you? And how do you get access to the voter rolls for the canvassing and things like that? What's the plan? What's the strategy? How can we help you? What do we do?
Yeah, thank you. So the election's in August, and I'm fundraising to buy the same tool we used last time. I contacted them. They said, again, you need a letter of denial from the state party. And I contacted them a week ago about that. And I'm still, it's kind of frustrating that I need approval for something that I had in 2020. Why can't I just pay? Would you give me the privilege of paying $7,000? Please let me pay $7,000.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I'm sure that the Democrats are really eager to get that to you quickly so you can get canvassing and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Knock on all those doors that they never do.
Yeah, last time, most of the campaign, most of the field season was during the pandemic. So we did a lot of phone calls, made almost 1 million calls, and had lots of people say, "You're the first campaign to ever call me."
Wow.
So that's the next big thing. Raising that money, those $7,000, to be able to afford that and get it as soon as possible. I really don't want to wait until June to start canvassing. And so donations are, of course, helpful because I don't take any corporate money. And then I know, a lot of people are still struggling. Like the headlines say, oh, the stock market's doing so well. The Fed doesn't think inflation will last, all this stuff. But we know that the economy for people like us is a totally different reality. So if you can afford to give, I understand. You could help by signing up for my email list to get updates at RebeccaParson.com or follow me on Twitter. But yeah,
So what are the prospects for a debate? And did you have debate access last time around?
No, he actually Kilmer, who's the Democratic incumbent, didn't acknowledge the campaign publicly that I was even running, and there was one opportunity for it wasn't a debate, it was more like a forum, and it was with all the candidates in this district and the one next to it, because Tacoma has actually several different congressional districts, like all converge in the city. And so it was this forum, and I was invited, Kilmer was invited, and I think what happened was the chair of the party called and was like, Kilmer can't make it. He has another commitment. Do you want to just push back the date or just come by yourself, and answer questions without him there? And I said, oh, that's fine. I'll just come by myself. No problem. And then it turned out, oh, he could come after all. And then he came and he gave a speech at the beginning and then left. So he was able to make an appearance.
How nice.
Say something, but then not have to be
on a stage or anything.
Yeah.
Which is essentially a commercial. I mean, it's
yeah.
Right.
Wow. God, it's always so stacked against all of us. But I love your feed. I love your your videos that you put out there, and you really hit on so many of the issues I think we're all craving. So I hope everybody comes out and takes a look at your videos, your website, and supports you, because I'm really so grateful to people like you who are still like fighting the good fight for all of us. Oh, that's nice. I like that. I'm putting that up there.
There you go.
Get you in a debate with him.
Yeah, I appreciate both of you as well. I follow you both on social media, and I know people watching this may be like, have given up on electoral politics or think it's useless, pointless, a futile endeavor. I understand like the feeling behind that, and I've done a lot of reevaluation. I think that it's possible. You can still get reforms from within the system. I talked to a former member of the House, for example, who was progressive, and this person told me, some of my proudest things that I ever got done were this person got an amendment into somebody else's bill that allocated a lot more money for like Narcan and other OD prevention drugs. And it didn't have this person's name on it. It wasn't a big thing, no big news item, but it went through and it probably saved, thousands or tens of thousands of lives. So is that Medicare for all? No, but it's a reform that you can do from within the system while still using, direct action and everything else on the outside to push for more. It's not the be all and end all, but it's, I think, a way to make a difference and then, use the platform to push for more.
I agree. And, the thing is I know a lot of us have sort of like either given up or the foundation of democracy feels really unstable on some level. And yet when we talk about direct action, in the end, the people whom we are targeting are the people who are elected, the people who are in office. I mean, in the end, those are the people who have to enact the laws that we're hoping to have happen. So, I think having more people like you who really want to continue that direct line from your activist past and your grassroots foundation, that's really what we need in the end, so that it feels like a democracy of the people.
And I really think that, whatever results from direct action is still going to come down to legislation in the end. It's still going to come down to Congress voting on bills, and that's how you change the way things are run. So, even having one trusted person in there. But I think the important part is not to put faith in them to get it done. We need to get it done on the outside. And then, it's great to elect candidates that you believe in to have our back to pass this legislation eventually that we're going to force upon them, is how I look at
it. Yeah, for sure. It doesn't all come. Yeah, it's not all on one person. And we still need to be, we need to have pressure from the outside still. And I saw, like, with these direct actions we did, I mean, homelessness has been a crisis here in Tacoma, but also the whole West Coast for years and years and years. And there's been talk and letter to the editor, and let's have forums, and let's have a town hall and talk about it some more. Let's go with this and that. And it's like, it just gets worse and worse and worse. How is it they declared the city of Tacoma declared homelessness a crisis, yet it only got worse, has only gotten worse since then. But then we apply this direct action pressure, and suddenly things that they told us were impossible became possible.
Right. They didn't just form a committee to study the problem.
Yeah.
Right? That's always the first solution.
Yeah.
I love those committees and commissions.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we will link to your campaign page and your donation page, and everyone should follow Rebecca on Twitter and go check out her website and donate if you can. And it's time, talent, and treasure. So any one of those three things I think is much appreciated and necessary.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, both of you, for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. Good luck, and we will be following you and have you back on, I hope, again soon in the future.
Thank you. Bye.
Appreciate everything you're doing. Thank you, Rebecca.
Good luck. Cheers. Well, that's awesome. I mean, in the end, that is what direct action in the end is, targeting the people who get up into Congress. And so you can't just totally say goodbye to electoral politics, I think, right?
No, and the problem is if we entirely rely on direct action as well, so that we get them to agree to our demands, how do we oversee the demands to make sure that they don't slide in some stuff to the bill that ends up, funding the police more when they agree to our defund the police bill? It's just if someone's good and they're running for office, God bless them. Let's get them in there. But you can't. This is where, fraud squad or not, the lack of action, tangible legislation, tangible change to politics coming from the progressives that we elected and we all put all this money into and time into is really hurting candidates like Rebecca, unfortunately. I mean, she didn't say that, but I'll say it. I mean,
it depresses the electorate, right?
They're in a tough spot because they recognize how little the grassroots movement is supporting some of these candidates. I mean, so I'm just saying, if you believe in some of these people, help them out, please.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, when we had Afeni and Jay on a while ago, and she was saying, why isn't the squad picking up their phone or contacting their enormous donation lists and volunteer lists and getting them to activate to put pressure on the policies that they ran on, they say they want, and now they're folding? We could help them. We have their back, and if that through line is lost or disconnected by the people in Congress, that's a real shame, because that is where they get a lot of their power if they're not getting the funding from Wall Street. So, they need us. All right. So this has been an interesting week of messaging, Pat. I have found the Democrats' complete disaster, disarray in the face of last Tuesday to be borderline hilarious, but also giving us all a little opportunity to kind of maybe leverage some power or influence on some level. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, you say messaging. The core messaging from the Democrats now is that they need to change their messaging. So it's like a PR stunt. You know, it's like, well, it's not that people don't like us. It's just that they're not hearing that they should like us enough in the right way. None of it is about fulfilling promises or
tangible material.
None of it. It's just it's a branding exercise.
Yeah. How do we do the PR to move towards 2022?
We'll get into some of that. Should we just roll the damn wheel? Because I think
do it, because that's our whole wheel. Our whole Hash It Out is all about the mess of the messaging. Oh, that would have been a good title.
The mess of the messaging. Messaging mess.
The messy mess. Messaging.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get to it. Here we go.
Wow, look at those fancy graphics. Who did that? Who'd we hire?
James Bond music. I mean, I don't know what that was, but
kudos to our graphic artist, our in-house graphic artist. I like it.
Yeah, nice. We really need some unpaid interns because I couldn't figure out how to end that clip.
We need so much.
Does anyone do this for a living, please?
My OCD kicks in so hard the 24 hours between, we're trying to put everything together and figure out our through line and the 5 o'clock start. I'm a mess.
No, we're fire though, so we're good. Look at that, we're covered.
And cheers.
Nailed it.
Cheers.
Nailed it again.
We did it. Let's see. All right, let's go. You got to put the wheel up on the screen though.
You want to do the wheel? Let's do the wheel. We have to get the comment off. Although Kaylin, thank you so much. Fire.
Thank you.
Spin this wheel. Let's go.
Oh my goodness. We're having a lot of time.
Civil War.
The Civil War. So I think we should just show the video of what is happening and what this is. One Democratic strategy to pit everyone against each other.
The worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War.
Fucking hey, man. Glad to see you guys.
Good evening. 150 days since the worst single act of political violence since the Civil War.
January 6th was worse than 9/11.
Worst act of political violence since the Civil War.
The likes of which I don't think has existed since the Civil War.
I think we're in the most perilous point in time since the advent of the Civil War.
I do too.
The worst attack against America's democracy probably since the Civil War.
Unprecedented, at least since the Civil War.
The worst attack on our republic since the Civil War.
The fact is that we faced on January 6th the most serious attack on our democracy probably since the Civil War. This is as fraught a July 4th as the nation has had really since the Civil War. I mean, we have questions that we really haven't asked probably since the Civil War.
The most destructive thing to American democracy is probably since the Civil War.
Nothing comes close this side of the Civil War.
6 months since the worst attack on American democracy, arguably, probably since the Civil War, and it's still not over.
Now, the White House says the president's also going to say that these laws they're trying to enact in Texas are the biggest threat to voting rights since the Civil War.
Literally, we're facing the most significant test of our democracy since the Civil War. That's not hyperbole. Since the Civil War.
In calling the wave of state voting laws that are upon us the greatest threat to our democracy since the Civil War, his talking about voting rights, the way he did it and the way he defined it.
The most significant test of our democracy since the Civil War.
It's not just another layer of rhetoric.
All of this is a piece of the same puzzle, John. They are all on the right, creating the biggest threat to our democracy since the Civil War.
The biggest threat to our constitutional republic since the Civil War.
The worst challenge to our democracy since the Civil War.
You and I have had this conversation for well over a month where I've talked about it being the most perilous point since the Civil War.
But at any rate,
hey guys,
I can't for ice cream.
I mean, I don't know when it happened that some words come out of the president's mouth, which I think that speech that he gave where he called this the worst attack since the Civil War was back in April. And then it is just like stenography. It comes right out of every reporter, every pundit, every talking head on mainstream media. And it's just accepted with absolutely no, that just becomes like another log line.
I think what Democrats have decided is they're going to run on the Civil War. I mean, they want this to be framed as a civil war. I mean, look, I know for sure that the right has amplified this and they want to run on the Civil War, but the left does too, because if the left runs on Civil War, they don't have to accomplish anything. Like, hey, you may not get better care for all, but you're going to stop a civil war.
Yeah, you're going to stop the worst attack on our democracy.
Yeah, and they have studies saying no matter how you frame something, if you talk about it enough, you get a word out into the ether and it soaks into people. So just repeat the phrase Civil War a million times, and that's all you need to do, no matter how you discuss it.
Yeah. And it's so damaging on so many different levels. I know we've talked about it before, but a lot of people who either stayed home after Obama or switched from Obama to Trump somehow weren't racist when they voted for Obama, and they then made a switch, and some of them toggled back to Biden. So like, to just make it seem as if it's so clear cut that like this whole group of people are deplorable racists and are unsalvageable. And there's actually, and this is the other thing, is it lets Democrats off the hook, as you were saying, from enacting any policy, from fighting for anything, because really all they ever have to do is be better than the person they've deemed the worst racist and the biggest Nazi.
They could not be happier that there's someone on the right that is vile every time. I mean, God forbid, so if someone runs as a Republican that's a decent human being but still believes in a lot of this terrible shit, Democrats are going to have a hard time.
I mean, I think that's what happened with Youngkin on some level, right? In Virginia.
Yeah.
Right? He was more tolerable. He was, are we going to go back down to something? I wasn't even trying to make a transition. I was just talking with you. But yeah, we can look at that. Look at how keyed in I am. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about, because there was so much made out of the people who voted for Youngkin were just racist white people. And there you go. So look at the people who showed up for Biden, who went to McAuliffe, and the people who showed up for Trump and went to Youngkin. Among white people, there was a bit of a drop off. But like, so what does that mean? Does that mean that they were racist when like their racism is more allowable when it's Youngkin? I mean, I don't even know totally the narrative they're crafting there.
Well, the narrative they crafted the narrative that CRT was the critical race theory decided the race, that the Republicans were able to message about that, and Democrats weren't able to message that CRT isn't a real thing. Well, yeah, CRT really isn't a real thing in their schools at all. But you don't beat the radical people that believe in CRT by debunking CRT. You appeal to your base because their base is really too hard to get. That's how elections work. You need to turn out your base by exciting your base, and then you need to win over the independents. And maybe debunking the CRT could have done some of that, but he lost his base. I mean,
because so many different reasons. One, because Biden's wildly unpopular. Two, because McAuliffe didn't go out and knock on doors. He had no ground game, no strategy. Three, because Youngkin was addressing some of the concerns. Apparently, Virginia schools were closed almost more than any other school in the nation because of COVID, which, I agree with, but I would have put, given parents some support in there, which our government, of course, didn't. So when you shut everything down and give no support to people who you're sending back out to work, you've got a really difficult situation. And their public school system is a draw for a lot of people. And when those parents were being told that they weren't going to have a say in their kids' education, that was upsetting. The other thing that, I was just reading is that Youngkin was actually talking about giving teachers a pay raise. Like, there are lots of details of that race that do not fit into a clean narrative of everyone who voted for Youngkin is just a Trumper white racist. It just, again.
No, he ran an awful campaign, and it was a ridiculous. Yeah, McAuliffe ran an awful campaign. I mean, it was $57 million or something ridiculous to have no messaging. And I'm already talking. See, they say messaging a million times, and I start repeating that phrase but the messaging isn't it. I mean, it's results. And what they're trying to do in the press is keep this away from Biden. They're trying to distance all these losing campaigns from Biden. It wasn't really about Biden. It was really about CRT there. It wasn't really.
They haven't enacted any popular policy. It's that, they're just so racist.
Yeah. So should I show the other video? Let's show the video of this is the Democratic. This is probably the video you wanted me to press play on.
Okay. Let me see. We have so many materials today.
The angry white woman, the Karen, scolding progressives. Is that now, or should I save that?
Oh, no, I don't even know what you're talking about. That's because I got stuck on the Carlisle group guy, which they were both Carlisle group guys, which is part of the problem, right? Like, you can't run some pasty white Democrat center corporate Carlisle investor against the guy who is the Carlisle group guy. Like, where do you talk about the corruption there? They're both disgusting, corrupt people.
Which is exactly it, because the Democrats were as guilty as the Republicans of that shitty connection. And that's the problem. So if a progressive had won that seat, they would have won it because they could have pointed out all these flaws in the connections to the Carlisle group.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm going to show this video.
Wait,
Leila,
what did you show?
The TikTok lady scolding progressives. Is that not now, or is that not now?
That's the imaging. That's we're back, baby. I think we need to spin the wheel. Let's just
spin the wheel. When in doubt,
spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel.
Yeah, baby.
You know what? Wait a minute.
Wait.
No, I'm gonna override this, and we just landed on a shot because I need a shot. I can't.
God,
yes,
I'm so lucky.
I'm literally overriding this.
I knew it. Friends at home, grab a beverage. The times call for it. I'm not endorsing, but I am saying it's crazy times.
Yeah. Drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly or don't.
I don't smoke anymore, but if you smoke responsibly. If you abstain responsibly.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, I did. I poured it into my other vodka tonic.
All right. Should we hit Woke Watch? Let's do it.
Woke Watch. Okay, yeah. Okay. So of course, so this is all about Dems messaging, right? Who do we blame? How do we get out of here? So right away, one of my all-time favorite guys came out to tell you exactly where to put the blame. Look at that man on the right.
Carville.
Honestly, if there were such a thing as the picture of Dorian Gray and you actually looked like the picture in the attic, he has just become the angriest, slimiest on the outside as on the inside. He just looks like what he is, angry. And I'm sorry, that feels like very looksism and somebody's going to get mad at me, but he just is so evil. And he's blaming CRT and woke Democrats and stupid wokeness. And mostly what it all is for these Democrats is just please don't affect his $3 million mansion that he just sold in New Orleans or all of his big investments. Like, just get back to the center. Yeah. Nobody wants anything big and progressive. Just move forward.
So let's talk about how much Carville cares about this stuff. He's literally married to a Republican strategist, and they used to be on TV and countering each other. They don't care about this stuff. They care that they stop progressive policy. All of them. He's equally committed to stopping progressive policy as his Republican strategist wife.
Yeah.
And here's another picture of him just to show.
It's just awful.
His voice is.
the first thing that's right away, of course, it's wokeness. Wokeness is what killed Democrats. That's their big takeaway from last Tuesday. Wokeness.
Yeah, Kaylin said it best. Fuck Carville.
Oh, I missed it. That was so fast.
Well, fuck Carville for real.
Yes, thanks.
But here's the problem. This whole narrative is getting sold to us now by progressives. Here's Keith Ellison.
Yeah, who brings
Dave
it
Weigel
up
talked to Keith Ellison on his own. He brings it up, which tells you that this is a narrative being pushed somewhere within the Democratic Party. He says on his own, he brought up defund before he did. I think allowing this moniker, defund the police, to ever get out there was not a good thing.
I mean, they say that about every single step of progress when it's happening. There's always tone policing, always notes to give to people about how Black Lives Matter. Well, what are you saying about white lives and Asian lives? They did that when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling. Why is he kneeling? It's so disrespectful. There's always something to say and some criticism. And then when the legislation passes, when people finally understand that people should have the same rights, then everybody says, well, of course, I was always for that. I just didn't like the way they did it. That's all.
But the whole narrative now is it's the messaging, it's the phrasing, it's the branding. It's like, oh, we support basically defunding the police, but you got progressives screwed us over by pushing that instead of something slicker like, X or Y, whatever. But it's nonsense. Obviously it's nonsense. But to hear that from Keith Ellison, who was
and here's the thing is, I know there is some nuance, and there are, communities of color who are against defunding the police. So there's room for conversation, but to kind of like pigeonhole all of it and just say it's some woke ideology is really a reductive way of approaching what people, the activists who are trying to fight for that, what their point of view is, which is not that to take away all the money from police, it's to reassign some of that funding, as we all know, to people who are better able to handle many of the situations that police are thrown into. The idea, like, we just don't talk about that. We're just going to say that the moniker is what's wrong.
Well, wokeness isn't the American population supporting Medicare for all, supporting lowering the military budget. I mean, so many of these things are universally accepted, even among Republicans, and they're trying to lump these things into wokeness. And it's people aren't buying it. People saw that Biden ran on these simple things that they know he's not even trying to fulfill. And that's why Democrats are losing. I mean, Terry McAuliffe could have ran his shitty campaign years ago and won easily with an incumbent Democrat. But Biden is hurting everyone down ticket because people didn't enthusiastically vote for Biden. They were sold this narrative that you must vote for Biden to stop Trump. Right. And they knew his campaign promises weren't enough.
Right.
But to see him now not meet that moment, not even try to fulfill his own underwhelming campaign promises in a pandemic, people see is not meeting the moment at all.
And he's not out there at all. I mean, honestly, every time we hear about him in the news, he's falling asleep, he's passing gas, or he's losing control of his bowels. So like, there's nothing calming about him, even if he weren't actually doing anything to help the situation. If he were even out there talking, if he had some sort of like, if he could project an image of I'm in control on some level, but he clearly isn't. So
I mean, the Pope story, which I just heard today, should we get into that? Is that,
I mean, Snopes says it isn't true, but do your own do a Google image search and see what you come up with. But it's not looking good for Biden and bodily functions these days. We should probably leave it. Yeah. All right.
Should we spin that beautiful wheel?
Let's spin that beautiful wheel.
Yeah, baby.
See, and now I'm regretting already taking the unforced That's an unforced error on my part.
That is, but you know what? I play by the rules, and oh my goodness, I'm dropping stuff as we go. I'm still on my stupid keto diet, so let me tell you, this is hitting hard. We got 5 comments. Let's see what's happening. That's right. These same fuckers wielded wokeness against Bernie. So fucking cynical. 100%.
I mean, yeah, there's so much wokeness. I mean, that's the whole narrative on TV right now. If you turn on CNN, I guarantee you will not go an hour watching CNN without hearing woke.
Yeah.
Woke.
That's yeah.
So it's woke civil war, and then that way they frame it all, and it's like I said,
all just like the surfacey. I mean, it is. It's just always pro wrestling. It's the Washington Generals versus the Globetrotters. It's a big cheers. Cheers, everyone. Cheers. That never gets easier for me. All right, let's spin the wheel.
Oh, we're spinning. Let's go.
Right?
Yeah, baby.
Take a shot. All right.
Okay. Well, this is one of my favorite ways to approach the public is to vote shame, which I will never do. But let's go. We have a bunch of graphics here. The first one. Oh, yeah.
Is this not the video? Am I still off?
No, you might be totally right. Did we label
Did I miss the production video? The big one with the TikTok. Damn it. I'm just dying to play that video.
We had a really long.
Fine.
We had so many production meetings today. Okay, vote shaming. We're gonna start with. Well, we should start with this, which is Pokey Pup put out this tweet the other day. This youth outreach is looking real promising, and what she shows is this guy Santiago Mayer writes. His whole organization is about how to get the young voters out there. So he is putting out on Twitter, my phone is currently buzzing with lots of young people angry at Democrats. We've got to enhance messaging towards Gen Z if we want them to show up, because Biden has no support from the next 2 generations. I mean, none.
Yeah. So when they say messaging, replace it with the word propaganda, because that's what these guys are saying. And the reason young people they have a Gen Z problem is that young people don't watch CNN and MSNBC. They don't get indoctrinated into this, red or blue nonsense. I mean, you could be a staunch
it doesn't matter. You
leftist.
have an allegiance to either team. It's not like that.
Yeah. It doesn't matter where you stand, left or right, but you're not going to buy MSNBC's bullshit, and they're not going to buy Fox's bullshit either. They're just they get their news from other sources. So when they say messaging, they need their propaganda to hit Twitter, to hit all these other places, because it's not working with young people.
Right. But the amazing thing, so I agree with you. Like, basically he's saying we have to work on the messaging. He misses the point entirely. Even still, here's somebody who's trying to help the Democratic Party. He has a foundation or organization that he heads up trying to pull in young Democratic voters. And the responses that he got were insane. Maybe Gen Z needs to fucking grow up a bit and educate themselves about the world. They're the most pampered and spoiled generation who've seen two economic disasters. They've been in war their whole lives, right? Okay. Pampered and spoiled generation to ever walk the planet. The world does not owe them anything and does not revolve around them. And then here's the other one. They prefer Nazis. The far left, did that in Germany too. Helped to elect some guy named Adolf. And after the Enabling Act of 1933 was passed, he sent them to Dachau. Go figure. It keeps going. Angry for what? They can't get dates? Sure, that's what the problem is. And the DNC does nothing to help them. Mommy didn't buy them the right kind of hot pockets this week. Keeps going. We're not selling reverse mortgages here, Druggy. If Gen Z wants to treat political parties like a wireless plan with which they're not completely satisfied, best elect them. All of the warrior poets and philosopher kings are on back order. They need to show up if they ever want anyone to care about what they want. You can't refuse to engage in the process and then whine about the results. I mean, it's just nonstop telling people, suck it up, vote for the lesser evil.
And like you said, this whole post is on how to reach out to these people. And you get all these messages that are basically calling Gen Z like incels or something, like, you know, like,
because that works.
How do you think these people are going to respond to this? Like, this is the opposite of what you need to do.
Yeah.
Like, they are astute and following this stuff from other sources. So they just see unfulfilled promises.
Yeah.
They see, and they're strapped with student loan debt. They see that their shitty low income job, their first job, is not going to pay enough to even cover their student loans. I mean, you know, this messaging is just awful. It's awful. And that's what you get with the Democratic Party. I mean, but it's not messaging.
They care about policy. It's just a team sport to them.
Yeah. But it's more of the Civil War stuff. You know, they push the Nazi thing because, well, it's us or the Nazi. That's literally, none of that says like, hey, we need to get out to the to Gen Z, the things that we're trying to accomplish. Even that message is better than this shit.
Yeah. There's just, I mean, that's not a democracy when you tell people these are your two choices and this one sucks so hard that you got to go for the less sucky. That is not how a democracy is supposed to work.
Yeah, well, the latest poll showed Biden at what, 38% approval. Was that feels high? It
feels high. That's like Trump level.
In the 30s or somewhere. But Kamala Harris was at like 20. She's in the 20s.
She's at 28. It's going to be fun to see her taking on DeSantis or whoever it's going to be.
I mean, so I had an aha moment related to this.
Okay, tell me.
And talk me down if this is not true. But okay, so the Congress appoints the vice president, right? You know that.
Okay.
I mean, so Congress appoints the vice president. Should the vice president step down?
Okay.
Right. Which means Biden has to step down before Democrats lose the Congress, or you end up with a Republican. We could end up with the Republican if they try to put Kamala Harris in. Just throwing that out there. No,
I don't think that's bad. Wait,
is this conspiracy shit?
Yeah. Wait, I don't even really understand what you're saying.
Okay. So if the theory for a long time is that Biden's going to step down, Kamala Harris is going to become the president. Right.
Right.
I don't know that she picks her own VP. Does she pick her own VP at that point? Because Congress selects a VP if the VP steps down. I don't know if they select one if she steps up, but if the VP steps down, so that would speed up this whole process of getting. They would have to do it before Democrats lose in 2022 if they want to get Buttigieg in there as the VP. Is my thing.
Oh my God, you just terrified me.
I mean, of course, in 2024, Kamala's going to be running again, which would give her permission to run her own VP.
Right.
But I'm just saying, otherwise, you would have probably a Republican VP if they do it after 2022.
That would actually be hilarious.
I mean, what would the difference be? But Democrats would run on it. I mean, of course, like.
Yeah. I don't think so. You're hilarious. You should have put the sarcasm in there before you start getting hate mail, Daniel and Y1. All right, let's spin the wheel. Mayor Pete is maybe one.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, how do we get take a shot next to take a shot? I did not like my chances on that one. I'm going to be honest.
Listen, I'm all in. I haven't had a drink all week. It's Wednesday. It's hitting hard. I haven't eaten anything today except for 2 fuels on my stupid keto diet. I'm ready. Wait, you didn't take a shot?
No. I will though. So
wow.
Keep talking. Somebody say something fun. Leila?
Okay, so I'm reading our comments. Mike says, the easy way to see what they do is plan the shiftiest plan you could think of. 100%. That is what's happening. Pete is the backup. Kaylin says she's not seeing the wheel, and Mike says he's not either. Well, What's happening with our tech guy? What's happening? Why
Did I take it off screen? It
Can
landed on take a shot, by the way. I took take a
I saw it. It might have just happened too fast and the lag happened. All right, cheers to the shot. It did say take a shot.
Cheers. Oh
my God.
While we're being casual.
Yeah.
Which should be our whole show, because who cares?
Does anybody care we have to say about anything?
Nobody cares.
It's just black, says Kaylin.
While we were, the whole screen is black?
I don't know. I think maybe when you put up the wheel, it's not showing up.
Uh-oh.
All right. Anyway, yeah, tell us. We'll fix it. We'll fix it.
So my cat's an asshole, but we were on Vanguard Pod, and his cat literally drew blood on air.
It was crazy.
Which I worry about all the time because my cat's outside right now. But
yeah,
I have headphones on. So when my cat is screaming to come in, someone tell me in the chat, maybe, because I can't even hear it.
Can't hear it. That's so funny. So Kaylin says, yeah, the wheel screen is black, and then we've got some funny un-PC stuff happening in there, which I'm just always afraid I'm going to be canceled, which would probably be good for me. But anyway, this is what happens when you hire scabs. Yeah, Pat and I are non-union, so that's why the whole show is a disaster.
So right now, is it black? Let's just check in with the audience.
Tell us. Do you see anything?
Is it black? Is there a wheel?
I see the wheel. Does anybody out there see the wheel?
I feel like, how could you not see it? I mean,
all right. Why don't you,
Kaylin? What the fuck is wrong with you?
All right.
I'm sure it's us. All right.
And we'll tell you what happens. Let's go.
Yeah, baby.
No, I'm not doing it. You can't make me.
These are the rules. I'm gonna do the shot for you. But
me too. You got to, because
black still, Kaylin.
What? Well, it does say take a shot. So if you're playing at home, it says take a shot. Take a shot.
I can't believe it's not showing. That's
oh my God. Everybody's just saying it's black. It's black. It's black. We're failing here.
Okay. I'm going to try to I'm going to take it off screen and then add it back, and we'll see if.
All right. But in the meantime, I'm going to do another shot.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
I got to take this bottle of bourbon out of my left hand before I sip it
cheeks.
Casually.
All right. I'm waiting for you. Okay.
I'm gonna try it.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. There's too much technology going on here.
There's a lot. You guys, there's a lot. I don't know how everybody else does it. It takes up my whole week, and it freaks me out not to have everything where it's supposed to be. Okay. Are you adding it? We got a couple more.
Yeah, let's see if it works.
More time.
Okay, can you see that? Is that there?
Come on.
Anyone?
Come on, everybody. You got it.
Take a shot, someone. Did I just sip my shot?
I don't think they'll fix it with all these shots, says Mike. Mike, you got a point. You got a point. Hey, I feel like I'm nervous that we're not going to get to the thing that kind of spurred on this whole thing. Should we just, I see take a shot. Okay. Should we show that lady and her ridiculous?
Oh, no, I'm saving it for another segment. Yeah, let's do it. Here she goes. I'm glad we fixed that technical glitch.
This was the thing that pushed us to do this whole thing. Okay, let's see it.
And first off, well, whatever. I'm sure somebody we're getting censored or something. Let's just say that.
Yeah, that's what it's happening. We're being
please tweet about us being censored.
Shadow banned.
Yeah, because we're too lefty or something.
Okay, now people are seeing it. Good.
What happened in Virginia was bad. Is it as disastrous as people are making it out to be? Depends on how we handle it. The media are having a field day because they love the drama. You get more clicks by saying the Democrats were destroyed than it was a close race that historically has always leaned against the party in charge. But 50.7% to 48.6% is not a shellacking. The California recall was a legitimate ass-kicking, but you didn't see the media painting it as a bloodbath for Republicans who should step away from Trumpism or it spells doom for their chances in 22. So let's just
Whoa, I got to stop her. I'm sorry.
Good. Yeah, let's go.
So, yeah, California is the most lefty, like shit lib state there is. But for him to even be recalled, like she's making a false comparison here. It's not the same. I mean,
They should have been actually in turmoil, and they were, by the way, because there was a point where we thought he might lose that recall, Gavin Newsom. So you're right. She's actually drawing a totally false comparison.
Yeah, and he would have lost. I mean, were it not for the messaging, this is their own bullshit, but
yeah,
they were able to paint his opponent as too radical, and that worked, which is the thing that's the only strategy they have these days.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go on.
Just grain of salt the coverage on this. Is democracy in crisis? You better fucking believe it. Was this a good sign for the side fighting for democracy? Absolutely not. But as any 12-step program will tell you, the first step to solving the problem is admitting you have a problem. And Democrats have a major messaging problem. It doesn't matter how great your ideas are if no one understands them. It doesn't matter if you do great stuff if no one knows you're doing it. It doesn't even matter.
What great stuff.
What great stuff. And also, this is the thing that I would like any liberal to really explain. I will never vote for a Republican, never have, never will. But I really do want to understand why a vote for Youngkin is a crisis of democracy. Like, what that narrative that they're feeding, which is, again, going back to like the whole Civil War thing, that was not necessarily a white supremacist vote. I mean, by the way, they're replacing the governor, Northam, who was in blackface 10 years ago. So let's not act like, whether it's Northam or McAuliffe or Youngkin, we've made some great strides in our country, and especially in Virginia, of like leaving white supremacy behind. That was not what this vote was about. So I reject her framing of that entirely.
I reject her on all levels of Karenness, but let's go on. So this whole video is just propaganda for Democrats. I don't know anything about her, if that's her account, but that's what this is right here.
If people agree with you, if they don't come out and vote when you need them to. People do not function and make decisions around policy points. They make them based on how they feel. These people.
Okay.
So it's not based on policy. It's about how you feel. Well, people are feeling like Democrats fucking said a lot of shit they never meant, which is what
they
it really
don't
comes
enact
down
the
to.
Policies they pretended to run on. Yeah.
I mean, we're getting told every day that, so Democrats ran up to the 2020 election on Stacey Abrams saving the vote. I mean, this whole Civil War thing, it was like, save the country from
white
supremacy, doom. You have to save voting rights or it's all over, and they won't get rid of the filibuster to do it, which just everybody sees that. Everybody sees that they won't do the simple thing in front of them.
That if they were actually threatened, if they thought that, they would do something. Right.
If we're in a civil war, you're gonna like hang it all on a parliamentarian or something.
No, it's really important to respect the rules. Absolutely.
Right? Which is what they're doing. Anyway.
Yeah.
People are fighting for me. These people get it. These people don't. These people are getting stuff done. These guys are fucking around. Whatever it is, if it's true or not, is irrelevant. We got smoked in messaging. The choice was between truth and lies, and we lost. The same thing happened in 2016. Hillary's emails, Benghazi, lock her up, build the wall, they sucked all the air out of the room. Democrats were always on defense, and you cannot win that way. We need to take our messaging, throw it out, and start from scratch. People need to know what we stand for, what they're voting for, what we're working towards, and they need to know it in 6 words or less.
God.
Okay. We know, everybody knows on paper what the Democrats stand for. That's the whole problem. They know they
know what the message is.
Yeah, they know the message. They're basically like, the message is buy Coke, and then they drink Coke and they're like, oh, that tastes like shit.
Yeah.
And then so they're like, no, we need a new slogan. A new slogan should fix all this. Right. Anyway.
Concepts of who we are and what we believe in and what we'll fight for need to be repeated ad nauseum from the top of the party right on down to the smallest county clerk, and we all need to say it exactly the same way. The other side has a literal propaganda machine in Fox News and its subsidiaries and unregulated social media. They lie without consequence, are masters of spin, and stand as a unified front. The mainstream media might be filled with liberal minds, but they don't work for the Democrats. They work for profit. Whatever gets the most eyeballs on the screen wins the day. The only way to stop the constant dissemination of lies for profit and power is is to have a counter message that earworms its way into the American psyche. Hate is based in fear. Fear is built on confusion. We counter hate with understanding, the same way we will counter apathy. We need to sell what it is we stand for, and we need to say it in a way that people will hear. If we don't, we will not win. And it's not our...
You counter hate with success because you own the House and the Senate and the presidency. Accomplish something. This is why any incumbents always lose, because they don't accomplish things. So this is not new.
Yeah, and also like
party that's
it's like just enough that she says it's true. Like, yeah, stick to a platform. What are you fighting for, and do it. Like, that part's true. That's what we should do. But she's, of course, not actually scolding Democrats who are in power. And then to say that we don't have a spin machine when all of legacy media is the spin machine. That's everything that's out there. The New York Times, the Washington Post, Politico, Salon, CNN, MSNBC. They are all pushing for corporate Democrats. That is spin. Truth versus lies.
Yeah, I mean, she is spin. I bet she's getting paid. I mean, this
well,
is
I
peak.
posted something about her, and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, they just ran a segment on her on MSNBC." I was like, "Of course they did."
MSNBC actually aired this. Or
apparently, I can't watch them anymore. But according to some people who responded to my post, Brian Williams and his rich pals at MSNBC really dug this video.
Oh, of course they did. I'm going to hit play and I'm going to try to let it go.
Yeah. We only have a few more minutes at 6:06.
Nope.
We're going to 6:15. That's it.
We're trying to stop at 6:15, but I will not let that happen. Even if it's just me on air. Let's go.
And a wheel. And a black wheel.
Me and a wheel.
And that is a race we can't afford to lose.
Oh, good. She stopped herself.
Is that the end? That's
Thank
the end?
God. Yeah. Or they could pass something that helps people. Exactly. Thank you, S. Hansen. 100%. This is bullshit. Pass something that people are desperate to have passed. That is what we need. Okay.
So, yeah. So her point is we stop the Nazis with messaging. So
armband.
I mean, you could also like maybe pass Medicare for all, maybe make it maybe not remove all the things from your own damn bill that's going to be passed entirely by Democrats.
Yep.
That are very Republican. Maybe don't build in tax breaks for corporations.
It's the one thing that's going to make it into that Build Back Better is they're going to give a tax break to millionaires and billionaires. Watch.
Yeah. Don't
spin the wheel. Now that we know the wheel's working.
Oh, I have
That's
the wheel isn't even added back on camera, but I got us. I got us.
Right.
I'm tech savvy. I just got to talk my way through this. There it is.
No worries.
They can see it.
Yeah.
Please take a shot. Let's just take so many shots.
Well, blame progressives is one of my favorite things to do. Let's just start with what happened right after Virginia, where CNN decided that progressives have to come aboard. And it's that whole thing that they did with Bernie with don't just take your ball and come home, stop with the purity politics and why can't you compromise, without talking about the truth of the matter, which is that those progressive policies, which Biden pretends that he wants in his Build Back Better agenda, are wildly popular across all spectrums of the political, elective. What am I based?
You're trying not to use spectrum again.
I know spectrum.
It's
I
difficult.
put it in there, and we know that. And instead of embracing that, because they don't, it's always. Yeah. I mean, I know we know this, but it always comes just back to they have to serve their corporate donors. So there we have another editorial from New York Times.
I can't read that. Yeah.
Well, Mark Penn and Andrew Stein, right? Who are
Mark Penn, Clintonite.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah. And they're saying that the history of 2020 election is undisputed. Joe Biden was nominated for president because he was the moderate alternative to Bernie Sanders. you know, they're going to just keep trying to push this narrative that Biden.
Yeah.
Because
okay. So fine. So let's say you believe what Mark Penn said. So pass the stupid weak shit in your platform. I mean, that's the problem, is that the public saw his offering as weak as hell, but they sold this civil war bullshit. They sold all this like Russia wins bullshit. So people said, you know what? I'm gonna go for Biden, even though I don't like him, but you know, his campaign promises are lacking, but now he's not even doing it. So obviously, anyway. So that New York Times op-ed, Sirota wrote
by another one.
Well, Sirota wrote a real one telling them how they could win, and this was the follow-up instead of publishing Sirota's.
Right.
Which I can't read because I'm old and I need glasses. So if you have any idea what that says.
Well, no, So Sirota did, Sirota did do a counter to it, but this was a second New York Times article that was also about the concerns of more centrist Americans about to rush to spend taxpayer money, a rush to grow the government should not be dismissed. Again, it was another op-ed in the New York Times who rejected Sirota's. He got it published, I think, in The Guardian. His was rejected in favor of these two huge op-eds in the New York Times, which is, you know, the paper of record, saying that we have to get more centrist and reject all these progressive ideas. Then, of course, you know, there was another opinion piece in the Washington Post, which was saying, back off Manchin, you're going to, you know, because you're going to hurt our chances in Virginia. Then on The Daily, which is the podcast from the New York Times yesterday, they had CIA spook Abigail Spanbanger, who said nobody elected him to be FDR. They elected him to be normal and to stop chaos. You know, and as we all remember,
So that's partially true. I just want to interrupt. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
They did interrupt him to
elect,
to not be FDR, but just pretend to support your own bullshit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna step back.
But also the messaging, remember at the beginning, once he won, after he was like, I beat the socialist and all that bullshit, was, you know, oh, he's going to be the next FDR. So they've had a real difficult time coming up with what message they want to sell and what they think will be winning. And so they keep doing this thing, of course, of just blaming progressives. That one we showed.
That's the whole game. Oh, Tim Kaine.
That's the whole deal. Always Tim Kaine. I know, they're awful.
Wait, put Tim back up here. What did Tim have to say? I understand the urge to get him off the screen as fast as possible.
You know, the thing that's so interesting to me is like purity is just having standards, right? And lots of Democrats have standards for what they think. I mean, what they want, their purity is having a D. I mean, it's stupid as hell, but that is their purity. They won't vote for somebody without a D. And if the D person is keeping the kids in cages or bombing Yemen or selling arms to Saudi Arabia or refusing to give people health care, they'll still vote for him because he's a D, and that's their purity. So we all have different levels of purity.
I think the biggest problem Dems face, I mean, the biggest consequence to Democratic propaganda is that they in 2020 sold this whole narrative that voting rights were at stake and everything came down to voting rights. And then immediately, you know, everybody understands the only way you can solve this is to end the filibuster, and they're not willing to do it. So the public that got propagandized by MSNBC is looking at MSNBC and going, well, shouldn't we get rid of the filibuster? Like, isn't this pretty fucking obvious? You guys are telling us it's a civil war and like the world is at stake, and you're not doing the simple thing you have the power to do.
Yep. And you keep wanting to reach across the aisle to your friends in the Republican Party, who should be a strong party. And Mark Penn, whose wife is Nancy Jacobson, who's the head of that big grifting.
No labels. We talked. Rebecca brought up. Yep.
That's right. They're all, you know, it's all a joke. And it becomes such a simple line as soon as you as soon as you accept that, then everything falls into place. And then it's not like, why aren't they stronger? Why aren't they fighting for this? It's like, they're all just at the same parties. All right. It's 6:15.
They're trash.
They are trash. It's 6:15.
So this is what happens at 6:15. We start a shot. Should we do a shot?
I'm going to turn into a pumpkin. All right. One more spin, and then we got to announce.
Oh, we have it.
You're happy.
I love you for saying another spin. I appreciate that. I didn't think you were going to do that. I thought we were going to wrap it up and play some.
Yeah, baby.
Power to the people. Oh, let's do that. That's the perfect. That's the perfect
end. Yes. Power to the people. We didn't plan this, but the fact that it ended on power to the people, which we should remove now.
Pat. Yeah, we're done. It doesn't matter.
Remove the wheel. Power to the people. So I can't believe it ended this way. That's so perfect, because in spite of every single tactic the Democrats have taken for this past 10 months to try to explain away all their failures, the low poll results for Biden and Kamala, the horrific responses to, in many of the different elections, there are a few things that they cannot chip away at. There are a few truths that remain. And one is, many of these policies that are going to be in the Build Back Better, or were supposed to be in the Build Back Better, they'll be stripped away, are wildly popular. We know that. Okay.
The first things they took away are all these things that
wildly popular.
The public wants.
Yeah.
Like Republicans want these things.
Yeah. And the other thing is Phil Murphy, who's the governor of New Jersey, who also had an election the same day last Tuesday, he won. And he won by a much slimmer margin than what they had predicted, but he won. And he is the first Democrat to win re-election in New Jersey since, I think, 1977. That's a big deal. And he is an unapologetic progressive. He has already, I think, implemented, I think I have a few things here, but now I don't know. He's already implemented raising the minimum wage to $15, raising the tax rate on income over $1 million, legalized marijuana. He made community college free for students in households with incomes of less than $65,000. He restored voting rights to people on probation or parole, and he authorized driver's licenses for undocumented immigrants. And he was on those Sunday morning shows. I think he was on with Chuck Todd, which I don't normally watch, but I watched or listened to because he was on. And Chuck Todd was trying to spin this narrative of Democrats are on the decline and they're losing, and isn't this, catastrophe? And he held firm and said, no, it's not. Yeah, we got to do better. But just a reminder, I'm the first Democrat to win re-election since 1977. I did it because I have implemented all of these policies. And the lesson to me is I have to go further. I have to implement more of the things the people want. And so that is power to the people. That's what I got to say.
Amen. It's so obvious to voters and even normie Dems now, even like my extended family, they get that Biden is bullshit. They are now aware how much he just lied and sold his propaganda and never intended to fulfill it. It's so obvious. Like he can $10,000 of student loan debt. He won't even get rid of $10,000 of student loan debt.
And he can cancel it all.
He can just wipe. Yeah, but the parliamentarian like they suppressed the ruling by the parliamentarian. They're hiding the ruling of the parliamentarian on his stupid little $10,000.
Yeah,
which is nothing to people who are in student loan debt.
Yeah,
but on all levels, like, come on.
Yeah. And just a reminder, because I'll never let this die, this was all of the different policies that Bernie ran on, and this was across the board, the whole political spectrum, wildly popular, from universal child care to healthcare to a Green New Deal to taxing the rich to expanding Social Security to ending mass incarceration. Every single policy that you see up here enjoyed over 50% approval rating across the board. So that's where the
which
people
is the
are.
whole point. You can't lay it down on bad messaging from Democrats when the messaging was, oh, we sort of support all of that stuff that Bernie did.
Yeah.
But we're gonna literally not do the thing that's obvious to everyone, end the filibuster, so Democrats have some power. So they are looking forward to 2022 when they lose power, because they have no pressure once they lose power. They have an easy scapegoat.
That's right.
Yeah. It's a mess.
All right, so let's end on a couple positive things where we have more strikes. I know we saw my alma mater, Columbia, people striking there, but we know that more than half of Americans view labor unions favorably. And as labor unions lost their power, labor lost its power, and now they are starting to fight to bring it back. And we need to support them every chance we get.
This right here is the key to me.
Yeah.
Like, I love this. So 40,000 SEIU Kaiser workers are joining the 32,000 Alliance Kaiser workers in a sympathy strike. Sympathy strike. That's what we need. We need all this needs to lead to a general strike.
Yeah.
So
hey.
40,000 people. You know, you like the pivot?
I did.
I didn't even mean to. It just came out.
One little last thing before we do our closing stuff, that the this account said, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, no. So striking workers, a small group, which is in Australia.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I hate to give Australians any airtime.
Oh, what? Don't say that on what?
No, I'm just kidding.
Cancel. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway,
they could use. Yeah. Go ahead.
They reached out to Tom Morello and were like, "Hey, can we use your song?" And I don't know if you guys have followed any of this before, but people are always coming at Rage Against the Machine. They're like, "Oh, I like your songs, but you guys are too political lately," or something. It's like they're always political. They were born political. Anyway, Tom Morello is the lead singer of Rage Against the Machine, and here he is reaching out. Australian workers reach out to him, and he's like, "Hell yeah, use my song." So that's what we need.
Very cool.
I love that.
Power to the people. On that note, Pat and I are very excited that, I agree with you, Mary. I never will. Very sad. We could be in our second term of Bernie Sanders right now. But because that is not our reality, we are trying to figure out a way to move forward. And all these strikes are incredibly inspiring, and labor taking back its power and people taking back their power. And we are hosting an hour as part of the General Summit that is being put together by, that's us, by the Fred Hampton leftists this weekend. It's going to be ongoing segments from Friday the 12th through Sunday the 14th. We will be on at 4:00 on Saturday. So hope you guys can all come by and say hi, and we'll put out more information as it gets closer, exactly what's going on. But we will be hosting an hour. I'm trying to take it away just for a second as we're leaving. There we go. Some of the other guests I just wrote down so I didn't forget. We have so the Fred Hampton leftist, Compton J, Afeni, Socialist MMA, Nick, Jay Buffon, Sabby Sabs. We have Shahid Buttar is going to be there, the Red Berets, and the organizers of the March for Medicare for All, Ron Placone, Savage Joy, Lee Camp, Professor Zdenkus, Case Study QB, who provides amazing video that we use
love
often.
his videos.
Yeah,
yes.
Jimmy Dore, so many
Cheers.
others. Please come join us, ask questions. The point of it is to try to answer questions and concerns and figure out a strategy to create a general strike in our country so that our representatives will actually be forced to listen and respond to the people who put them in office.
Yeah, I know we're trying to end this on a positive note, but I just want to add, the people discouraging this event are the worst people, because this whole event is to talk about what it takes, like to create the material conditions to force a general strike. Like none of us are saying like, hey, all these podcasters are going to get together and go, hey, it's a general strike, go.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're literally having a forum for 3 days to discuss what we need to do, what conditions need to exist to make this happen. So none of this is like we pull the trigger on, Sunday we do it. No, none of this is that. So
we want to educate ourselves. We want to figure stuff out. We want to answer questions.
Yes, it's a discussion. It's a discussion. So people already against the discussion, put them on your radar for being terrible people, because they are.
All right. And the next week, so we're excited for that. Very excited for that. And the next week, we'll see you guys all back also with the Vanguard guys. We're going to do full hour of the wheel.
And Vanguard's going to play the wheel with us. They're going to have shots. When Vanguard comes on, I'm going to have the wheel set up with just 20 shots. They have nothing.
A different wheel from us.
Or puff or something. I don't know what they do. But anyway.
All right.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. I hope you all have a good week. And remember to always punch up. Cheers.